Friends, let me ask you a simple question. How many of you feel that your mind is always busy, jumping from one thought to another, even when you want to focus? We live in a world where our phone battery lasts longer than our attention span. And the funny thing is, we search outside for focus, while the solution quietly sits within us. Today, I want to share something very simple, very practical, and very powerful. 5 simple yoga poses that can improve your focus and mental clarity. No complicated philosophy, no extreme flexibility, just small steps with big impact. In today's fast-moving world, many people believe that focus is something you are either born with or not. We often label some individuals as naturally disciplined, sharp, or mentally strong, while quietly assuming that our own wandering attention is a permanent weakness. This belief is not only incorrect, it is limiting. Focus is not a fixed trait written into our personality. It is a skill that is developed through conscious, repeated practice. Just as the body becomes stronger with regular exercise, the mind becomes sharper when it is trained daily with intention and patience. The human mind is designed to move. It jumps from thought to thought, memory to memory, future to past. Expecting the mind to remain calm and concentrated without training is like expecting an untrained body to run a marathon. Yoga teaches us this truth gently. When we step onto the mat, we are not trying to control the mind forcefully. We are learning to guide it. Every time we hold a pose, maintain balance, or stay aware of our breath, we are quietly strengthening our ability to focus. These small moments of awareness accumulate, creating a mind that can stay present for longer periods. What makes yoga especially powerful is that it trains focus through the body. Many people struggle with meditation because sitting still immediately brings distractions. Yoga offers a bridge. When the body is engaged in a posture, the mind naturally follows. You are required to pay attention to alignment, breathing, and balance. This attention is not intense or stressful. It is calm and steady. Over time, this kind of attention becomes familiar, and the mind learns that focus does not have to feel exhausting. It can feel natural and even peaceful. Consistency plays a greater role than intensity. Practicing for a short time every day is far more effective than doing a long session once in a while. Each day that you show up, even for 10 minutes, you are sending a powerful message to your mind. Focus matters. Slowly, the mind starts responding. You notice fewer distractions, quicker recovery when attention drifts, and a growing sense of mental clarity. This change does not happen overnight, but it is reliable. The mind, like the body, adapts to what it repeatedly experiences. Another important aspect of focus as a practice is self-compassion. Many people become frustrated when their mind wanders and interpret it as failure. Yoga teaches a different approach. When you lose balance in a pose, you do not criticize yourself. You simply come back and try again. The same attitude applies to the mind. Losing focus is not a mistake, it is part of the training. Each return to awareness strengthens mental discipline. Over time, these returns become smoother and faster, building quiet confidence. As focus improves, its effects extend beyond the yoga mat. Daily tasks feel less overwhelming. Listening becomes deeper. Decisions become clearer because the mind is not scattered. Even emotional reactions soften, because a focused mind has space to respond instead of react. This is why focus should be seen as a lifestyle habit rather than a momentary effort. It influences how we work, communicate, and live. Ultimately, when we understand that focus is a daily practice, we free ourselves from unrealistic expectations and self-judgment. We stop chasing quick fixes and begin investing in steady growth. Yoga becomes not just a physical activity, but a training ground for the mind. With regular practice, focus transforms from something we struggle with into something we steadily build, day by day, breath by breath, in a world that constantly celebrates speed, noise, and constant movement. Stillness is often misunderstood as inactivity or weakness. Yet true strength is rarely loud. It is quiet, composed, and deeply rooted. Stillness is not the absence of effort, it is the mastery of it. When the body learns to remain steady, the mind begins to reflect that same stability. Yoga gently reveals that strength does not always come from pushing harder, but from holding your ground with awareness and control. When you stand in a simple posture like Tadasana, nothing dramatic appears to be happening. There is no visible strain or complex movement, and yet internally, everything is working in harmony. The feet press firmly into the ground, the spine lifts upward, the shoulders relax, and the breath flows evenly. This physical alignment sends a powerful signal to the nervous system. You are safe, balanced, and present. The mind responds by slowing down. Thoughts that were racing begin to settle, not because they are forced to stop, but because there is no inner chaos feeding them. Stillness demands honesty. When the body is not moving, the mind has nowhere to hide. Every distraction becomes noticeable. Every shift in balance reveals a lack of attention. This awareness is not meant to judge, but to educate. The moment you notice the body swaying or the posture collapsing, you naturally correct it. In that correction, focus is trained. Over time, the mind learns to stay with the present moment for longer durations because it has experienced the comfort of stability rather than the stress of constant adjustment. There is a deep psychological impact of standing or sitting with steadiness. A stable posture subtly influences confidence and emotional regulation. When the body is aligned and grounded, the mind interprets it as inner strength. This is why posture affects mood and clarity. Slouching often accompanies fatigue and doubt, while an upright, relaxed stance encourages alertness and calm authority. Yoga uses this connection intentionally, allowing physical steadiness to reshape mental patterns. Stillness also teaches patience. Holding a pose without movement can feel challenging, especially in the beginning. The impulse to adjust, fidget, or quit arises quickly. Each time you resist that impulse and remain present, you strengthen mental endurance. This endurance is not aggressive or forceful. It is calm and resilient. It is the ability to stay with discomfort without reacting impulsively. In daily life, this translates into better emotional control, clearer thinking under pressure, and improved decision-making. Another important aspect of stillness is breath awareness. When the body is steady, the breath becomes more noticeable. Slow, rhythmic breathing further calms the mind and sharpens focus. Breath anchors attention, preventing it from drifting unnecessarily. This creates a feedback loop. Stillness improves breathing, and better breathing deepens stillness. Together, they form a foundation for mental clarity that feels natural rather than forced. Over time, the practice of physical stillness rewires how the mind responds to challenges. Instead of reacting immediately, there is a pause. In that pause lie choice, clarity, and strength. Yoga teaches that stability is not about rigidity, but about being centered. A steady body becomes a silent teacher, showing the mind how to remain calm, alert, and balanced, even when the world around it continues to move. Balance is often spoken about as a physical ability, but in reality, it is a reflection of mental awareness. When the body attempts to balance, the mind is immediately called into the present moment. There is no room for distraction, no space for overthinking, and no opportunity to drift into past or future. Balance demands attention, and that demand becomes a powerful teacher. The moment awareness fades, balance is lost. This simple truth, experienced again and again on the yoga mat, mirrors how life functions beyond it. When practicing a pose like Vrikshasana, the body may appear calm, but internally there is constant communication between muscles, breath, and awareness. Every small shift of weight requires adjustment. The standing leg stabilizes, the core engages, and the gaze fixes on a single point. This focused gaze, known as drishti, is not just a physical technique, it is a mental anchor. By choosing one point of attention, the mind learns to resist unnecessary movement. In doing so, it experiences what focused awareness truly feels like. What makes balance such an effective training tool is its honesty. It offers immediate feedback. If the mind wanders, the body responds instantly. There's no delay, no explanation needed. This clarity builds self-awareness without criticism. Instead of feeling discouraged when balance is lost, the practitioner learns to observe what happened. Was the breath shallow? Was the gaze unfocused? Was the mind distracted? Each attempt becomes an opportunity to refine attention, not to judge performance. This process gradually changes the relationship with failure. Losing balance is no longer seen as a mistake, but as information. It reveals where awareness weakened and invites a gentle return to the present. Over time, this mindset carries into daily life. When focus slips during work, conversation, or decision-making, there is less frustration and more understanding. Attention is brought back with the same calmness used on the mat. Balance, therefore, becomes a lesson in resilience rather than perfection. Mental balance is closely tied to emotional stability. When the mind is scattered, emotions tend to fluctuate easily. Practicing physical balance teaches emotional regulation by requiring calmness under mild challenge. There is effort involved, but it is controlled and steady. The breath remains smooth, the face relaxed. This trains the nervous system to stay composed rather than reactive. As a result, situations that once felt overwhelming become manageable, approached with clarity rather than impulsiveness. Another subtle but powerful lesson of balance is patience. Improvement does not come instantly. Some days the pose feels effortless, other days unstable. Learning to accept these fluctuations without losing motivation strengthens inner discipline. It teaches that consistency matters more than immediate results. This understanding supports long-term focus, helping individuals stay committed even when progress feels slow. Balance also encourages humility. No matter how experienced someone becomes, attention must be renewed every time the pose is practiced. Past success does not guarantee present stability. This keeps the mind alert and respectful of the moment. In professional and personal life, this translates into continuous learning and openness, preventing complacency. Through balance, yoga quietly trains the mind to remain attentive, adaptable, and calm. The body becomes a mirror, reflecting the quality of awareness. When focus, present, balance holds. When awareness fades, balance slips. This direct connection makes balance one of the most effective ways to cultivate mental clarity and disciplined attention. In a culture that constantly glorifies productivity, speed, and visible effort, rest is often misunderstood as laziness or lack of ambition. From an early age, many people are conditioned to believe that stopping means falling behind. As a result, the mind remains in a state of continuous tension, even during moments meant for recovery. Yoga challenges this mindset by presenting rest not as an escape from growth, but as an essential part of it. True clarity does not always emerge from doing more. Often, it arises when we allow ourselves to pause. Balasana, or the child's pose, appears simple and passive, yet its impact on the mind is profound. The posture gently folds the body inward, creating a sense of safety and containment. The forehead resting on the mat stimulates a calming response in the nervous system, signaling the brain to slow down. This physical act of surrender encourages the mind to release its constant need to analyze, plan, and control. In that release, mental fatigue begins to dissolve. Rest requires trust. Letting go of effort can feel uncomfortable, especially for those who are driven and goal-oriented. There is often an underlying fear that if we stop, we will lose momentum or fall behind. Yoga teaches that this fear is unfounded. When the mind is overworked, clarity diminishes. Decisions become rushed, emotions intensify, and focus weakens. Conscious rest, on the other hand, restores balance. It allows the mind to reset. Much like clearing clutter from a workspace before beginning a new task, one of the most valuable lessons of restorative poses is awareness without action. In Balasana, there is nothing to achieve and nowhere to go. The practitioner is invited to simply observe the breath, the sensations in the body, and the flow of thoughts. This observation builds mindfulness. Instead of reacting to every thought, the mind learns to witness them calmly. Over time, this ability to observe without engagement reduces mental noise and enhances clarity. Rest also supports emotional regulation. When the body relaxes, stress hormones decrease, and the nervous system shifts from a state of alertness to one of recovery. This physiological change has a direct impact on mood and focus. Anxiety softens, impatience reduces, and emotional responses become more measured. The mind regains its ability to think clearly, not because problems have disappeared, but because there is now space to approach them with composure. Another important aspect of rest is humility. Bowing the body forward in child's pose symbolizes letting go of ego and excessive self-demand. It reminds us that strength is not only about endurance, but also about knowing when to pause. This understanding fosters sustainable performance. Instead of burning out, individuals learn to manage their energy wisely, maintaining clarity over the long term. In professional life, the absence of rest often leads to diminishing returns. Long hours without mental recovery reduce creativity and focus. Yoga demonstrates that stepping back can actually enhance effectiveness. A rested mind processes information more efficiently, listens more attentively, and responds more thoughtfully. Rest becomes a strategic tool rather than a weakness. By practicing intentional rest through yoga, the mind learns an essential truth. Clarity is restored in stillness. When effort is released and the body is allowed to relax, the mind naturally reorganizes itself. Thoughts settle, perspective sharpens, and focus returns. Rest, when practiced consciously, becomes an act of wisdom, reinforcing the idea that slowing down is sometimes the most powerful way forward. The way we position our body has a profound influence on how we think, feel, and perceive situations. Often, when faced with mental fatigue or confusion, we try to solve the problem by thinking harder, analyzing more, or pushing ourselves further. Yoga offers a different approach. It suggests that sometimes clarity does not come from mental effort alone, but from a physical shift that refreshes the nervous system and alters perspective. When posture changes, internal chemistry changes, and with it, the quality of thought. Adho Mukha Svanasana, commonly known as downward dog, is a powerful example of this principle. In this pose, the head moves below the heart, reversing the usual flow of gravity. This inversion increases blood circulation to the brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients that support alertness and mental sharpness. The effect is subtle, yet noticeable. The mind feels lighter, more awake, and less burdened by heaviness or fatigue. This physical reset mirrors what happens when we mentally step back from a problem and view it from a different angle. Perspective plays a critical role in mental clarity. When the mind becomes stuck, it is often because it is locked into a single way of seeing things. Stress narrows attention and reinforces repetitive thinking patterns. Downward dog gently interrupts this cycle. By changing the orientation of the body, it disrupts habitual mental loops. The pose invites a pause from overthinking and encourages a more neutral state of awareness. In that neutrality, clarity can emerge naturally. The posture also balances effort and ease. The arms and legs are active, supporting the body's weight while the head and neck remain relaxed. This combination teaches an important lesson. Clarity does not require tension. Many people associate focus with strain, believing that concentration must feel intense or exhausting. Yoga challenges this belief. In downward dog, focus is maintained through steady engagement without rigidity. The breath flows smoothly, reinforcing calm alertness rather than pressure. Breathing in this pose deepens naturally, further enhancing its mental benefits. As the chest opens and the diaphragm moves freely, the breath becomes slower and more rhythmic. This signals the nervous system to shift away from stress and into balance. With each exhale, mental clutter begins to loosen. Thoughts become less urgent, emotions settle, and attention stabilizes. The mind is refreshed not through force, but through physiological harmony. Another important aspect of this pose is its grounding effect. Even though the head is inverted, the hands and feet press firmly into the mat. This connection to the ground creates a sense of stability and security. The mind interprets this physical grounding as emotional safety. When we feel supported, we think more clearly. Fear-based reactions decrease, making space for rational thought and creative insight. This lesson extends directly into everyday life. When challenges feel overwhelming, the instinct is often to confront them head-on with intensity. Yoga teaches that stepping back, changing posture, or shifting perspective can be far more effective. Just as downward dog refreshes the mind by altering physical orientation, mental clarity in daily situations often comes from reframing, pausing, or approaching issues from a new viewpoint. Regular practice strengthens this awareness. Over time, the mind learns that confusion and stress are not permanent states. They are signals, inviting a reset. By responding with conscious movement and breath rather than frustration, focus is restored more quickly. The body becomes an ally in mental regulation rather than a passive vehicle. Through this simple yet powerful pose, yoga demonstrates that clarity is dynamic. It can be influenced by how we stand, move, and breathe. By changing posture, we change perception. By changing perception, we improve focus. This understanding transforms physical practice into a practical tool for mental renewal, reinforcing the idea that sometimes the clearest solutions appear when we look at things from a completely different angle. The breath is the most constant companion we have, yet it is often the most overlooked. It continues silently in the background of our lives, adjusting to every emotion, thought, and action. When the mind is restless, the breath becomes shallow and irregular. When the mind is calm, the breath naturally slows and deepens. Yoga recognizes this intimate connection and uses the breath as a direct pathway to mental clarity. By learning to sit quietly and breathe with awareness, we begin to influence the mind in a gentle but powerful way. Sitting in a simple posture, such as Sukhasana or Padmasana, creates a stable foundation for breath awareness. The spine remains upright, allowing the lungs to expand fully while the body stays relaxed rather than rigid. This balance between alertness and ease is essential. A slouched posture restricts breathing and dulls attention, while excessive stiffness creates tension. When the body is aligned comfortably, the breath flows freely, and the mind naturally becomes more attentive. Conscious breathing anchors attention in the present moment. Unlike thoughts, which move unpredictably, the breath follows a steady rhythm. Observing this rhythm gives the mind a single point of focus. Each inhale and exhale becomes an opportunity to return to awareness. Over time, this practice reduces mental wandering. The mind learns to stay with one experience without constantly seeking stimulation. This ability to remain present strength. NS concentration and emotional stability. Deep, mindful breathing also has a direct physiological effect. Slow breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, recovery, and balance. Heart rate decreases, muscle tension reduces, and stress hormones begin to settle. As the body relaxes, the mind becomes clearer. Decisions feel less urgent. Reactions soften, and inner dialogue slows. This calm state is not dull or passive. It is alert, steady, and receptive. Another important benefit of breath-focused sitting is self-awareness. When the breath is observed closely, subtle emotional patterns become visible. A tight chest may reflect anxiety. A shallow breath may indicate fear or impatience. Rather than suppressing these signals, yoga encourages acknowledgement. By breathing into these areas with awareness, emotional intensity decreases. The mind learns that it can face discomfort calmly without being overwhelmed. Breath awareness also builds inner discipline. Sitting quietly, even for a few minutes, requires commitment. The urge to move, check distractions, or abandon the practice often arises. Each time attention is brought back to the breath, discipline is strengthened. This discipline is gentle and sustainable, not driven by force. Over time, it extends into daily life, improving focus during conversations, work, and problem solving. The simplicity of this practice is its greatest strength. No external tools are required. The breath is always available, whether sitting at home, working in an office, or facing a stressful situation. With awareness, even a few conscious breaths can reset the mind. This accessibility makes breath-focused sitting one of the most practical methods for maintaining clarity in a demanding world. As the practice deepens, a quiet confidence emerges. The mind no longer feels at the mercy of external pressures or internal noise. There is an understanding that calmness can be accessed from within at any moment. A steady breath becomes a steady anchor, supporting clear thinking and emotional balance. Through consistent awareness of the breath, mental clarity transforms from an occasional experience into a reliable inner state, shaping a more focused, composed, and resilient approach to life. Friends, focus is not a talent, it is a practice. Mental clarity is not a luxury, it is a lifestyle choice. If you can give just 15 minutes a day to these simple yoga poses, you will notice a beautiful shift, not just in your concentration, but in your attitude toward life. Remember, when the mind is clear, decisions are better, emotions are balanced, and life feels lighter. So start small, stay consistent, and let yoga guide you from chaos to clarity. Thank you, and stay mindful.